Bible study, I want to talk about Romans chapter 1, verse 11, but I want to start in 1 Corinthians 11, verse 1. Imitate me just as I also imitate Christ, Paul says, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16 and 17. Therefore, I urge you, imitate me. For this reason, I have sent Timothy to you, who is my beloved and faithful son in the Lord, who will remind you of my ways in Christ as I teach everywhere in every church. Right? Romans chapter 1, verse 11. For I long to see you that I may impart to you some spiritual gift, so that you may be established. Right? Ready? Verse 12. That is, that I may be encouraged together with you by the mutual faith both of you and me. How do you imitate Paul? Right? You impart, what do you say? Impart spiritual gifts to people. And when you read the Bible, there's different spiritual gifts. Encouragement, there's generosity, right? Teaching. I'm a teacher here at the Los Angeles Dream Center. I impart my spiritual gift of teaching, and I help them learn to study the Bible, and so that they could at some point be encouraged, not only just to keep reading, but to study it and teach others. That's one thing I always tell them. Man, you might not be an actual teacher in a classroom like me, but you could teach your children, right? Proper teaching, expositorial teaching, right? And learn how to talk to people at their level, right? When it comes to their age and maturity in the faith, right? So how do we imitate Paul, right? We disciple, or in modern term would be mentor, right? Mentor somebody, right? At my work, I work outside of the Dream Center, how I pay my bills, and I work at a sushi restaurant. Sometimes I'm so tired, I'm getting cranky, and my brother in Christ, he's like, hey, don't forget, work is a blessing from God. And I got to be encouraged, right? He has a spiritual gift. He's just pushing to work, and I'm getting tired. And he's just like, work is a blessing, right? He's always reminding me of that. And I don't know if he even knows, but he's imparting a spiritual gift, right? He's encouraging me. And sometimes I need to learn to be more encouraging to others, but I need to be encouraged. So Timothy, he said, I'm sending Timothy to help you, right? And to, what did he say in here? To establish you, right? So spiritual gifts, how do you imitate Paul, right? You what? Know your spiritual gifts, right? You mentor somebody or disciple, right? Uh, and that's how you're imparting, right, your spiritual gift to somebody. And then they go, what did he say? I'm sending you Timothy, my faithful son, my spiritual son, right, to help you while I go teach in these other churches, right? So we're to spread. That's the purpose of what? Mentoring, discipling, right? Encouraging, imparting spiritual gifts to establish people, right? And the faith that of mine in you, right? It encourages, like I said, I may be encouraged together with you by the mutual faith, both you and me. So as I'm imparting spiritual gifts to one person, someone might be imparting spiritual gifts to me, like encouragement, right? And now I'm reminded myself, I always have to remind myself, I got to be more encouraging to others, right? And then that right there, it builds our faith, right? It brings us together, right? We might not all agree on everything and every politics and stuff like that, but one thing that brings us together is the mutual faith in Christ, right? And in how we bring these spiritual gifts together for the betterment of the church, right? To strengthen the church, right? Imitate Christ, right? Imitate Paul, right? Sometimes we have a hard time seeing Christ, right? And so Paul's saying, look, you might not see Jesus right here in front of you physically, but I walk in the image of Jesus Christ. Imitate me. We're going to get more into that in the next video. Amen.